The music genre God to analyze today was sent in by Jamie Chris. Again, if you want anything dissected like a song, band, or an entire genre, just click the link in my bio and I'll throw it into a topic pool. Anyways, after researching and listening to Gabber punk, it feels like the sound you would find in that cyberpunk game, like in an underground rave. It's thick with sweat, there's strobe lights cutting through a dark industrial warehouse. It's aggressive, but they're like silly with it. Like after the show, you might end up with a laughing militia raiding the government. It honestly reminded me of elements I've heard from Enter Shikari, but structurally, Gabber punk to me sits on like a strange little island closer to actual Gabber than punk. Think of it inside of the techno galaxy within the outskirts of the Gabber solar system, and their telescopes are pointing towards the traditional punk galaxy. Gabber splits off from hardcore techno and conjures that punk spirit using raw electronic circuitry and machine-like sounds instead of guitars. But Gabber punk really begins with Gabber itself, which emerged in the early 90s in the Netherlands. And it was mostly found in Rotterdam, where rave culture overlapped with the working class youth out of the post-Cold War Europe. The music is fast as hell, usually around 160 to 200 beats per minute, with a distorted kick drum that sounds like industrial machinery, probably from their environment. There's little melody, and it has a dark, repetitive vibe that does feel like I'm in some dystopian warehouse, again, conjuring some kind of ominous AI entity to attack the system. It is electronic, but Gabber culture carries a lot of the same psychological signals as punk. There's this anti-mainstream identity. There's like this working class, aggressive, and really has that DIY attitude. The type of humans it creates are these shaved head wearing tracksuit, bomber jacket wearing people with combat boots. Not exactly punk clothing, but the Gabber punk seems to be wearing more of the punk outfit. They're anti-elite, they have a less polished sound. It shows whatever that punk spirit actually is. It seems to reappear whenever new instrument technology arrives. Almost like speed and rebellion is searching for the next tool to express itself. I almost think of it like the rebellious energy of Melkor in the Silmarillion. It's this festering creative pressure trying to break out as a sound. It's not always anger exactly. Sometimes it's passion, sometimes it's chaos, but it's always fast and pressurized. So when people say Gabber punk, I'm leaning toward it mostly being Gabber with a punk mindset. We kind of run into a constraint of words because hardcore music is this and punk music is that, and techno music is something else. And the structures just start blending. My client wanted me to fixate on Gabber punk specifically, and it seems to be emerging out of the UK underground rave scene. There are projects called Scottish Gabber punk. They say it combines the energy of punk with hardcore rave, and it's spawning in these extreme rave shows like Boomtown Fair, Bangfest, Weekender, and Balter Festival, which makes sense because other subgenres like breakcore, hardcore techno, they're all mutating in that chaos. But where I really see Gabber punk's potential is in a track they did covering Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit. Yes, it's a cover, but layering that Gabber onto a structured new metal banger shows a direction this hybrid could actually evolve towards, and not just another saturated thumping techno subgenre, but something closer to a real Gabber punk god forming around that structure and that energy. And it's interesting they chose Break Stuff because that song might be one of the most culturally explosive songs ever summoned. When Limp Bizkit played it at Woodstock in 1999, like it or not, Fred Durst was bouncing an army of orcs ready to pillage a village with a new metal god combined with all the residue of all the other subgenres that people came to see that day. I think the reaction scared the elites, and they started investing in hip hop and country music. The sound was clearly moving towards something powerful, and then it was halted, or it just died out, who knows? Which makes it interesting to see that same chaotic energy is still festering underground in scenes today, like Gabber punk. So I respect it.